Welcome to the Putting Heads on Beds podcast, where through education, inspiration, and motivation, we help you to boost bookings and transform your business. And now, your host, Stephanie Thomas.
Hello, it's Stephanie here, and welcome back to another episode of my Putting Heads on Beds podcast. I hope you've had a great couple of weeks. I hope that if you listened in to the last episode, you've been putting in place the tools and the strategies that I shared to help you optimize your website and attract more potential guests and increase bookings through your site. So I hope you're already starting to see the results of some of those changes. Over the past 7 years, I have worked with lots and lots of accommodation providers, and most of them have been in pretty popular visitor destination areas. So they've been in amongst a lot of other B&Bs or inns, or they've been in an area where there's lots of different self-catering establishments. And this means there's a lot of competition. And in a world where people have such easy access to so many different options, they can access through their mobile phone, their tablets, their desktop, a whole host of different places that they could stay. So how in the world does someone convince them that actually they are the best option for them? Their place is the best place to stay? Well, when I work one-to-one with my private clients, one of the first things that we work on is their unique selling proposition. Because when they know what that is, it helps them to convince potential guests in all their different marketing messages why their establishment is different from and far, far better than any of their competitors. And I'm pretty sure that you're in exactly the same position. It's unlikely that you're the only accommodation provider in your area. If you are, please don't stop listening to this podcast, because actually what I'm going to share with you is really going to help you to improve your marketing message anyway. But I think that you're probably in an area where you have competitors. And so this week, I thought it would be good to dive a little deeper into unique selling propositions and to actually help you to identify yours. So you're probably sat there at the moment thinking, well, what exactly is a unique selling proposition? You know, we've all heard the term, but so many people don't really know what it means. First off, if the word selling turns you off, then think of it instead as your unique market proposition. You know, to be honest with you, it's not about selling. It is simply about differentiation. Your unique selling proposition, your USP, is what makes your business stand out. It's what makes you different, and it's what earns you a special place in the minds of your potential guests. It's what makes your establishment so unique that it motivates people to choose you over other places to stay. I like to think of your overall USP really as your reason for being. You know, think about it from a potential guest point of view. With hundreds of potential options out there, you need to be able to answer their question of, well, why should I book with you? And if you don't answer that question quickly, then your potential guests are simply going to move on. It's really that simple. It is a very, very competitive marketplace for any accommodation business. And with so many people offering similar services to you, you need to do your very best to differentiate yourself from the competition. The biggest challenge in getting to the top in any market is getting through that crowd at the bottom. And you have to somehow stand out from that crowd. And that's what I want to cover with you in this episode. To be perfectly honest with you, you know, most accommodation providers are all saying the same thing when it comes to marketing their businesses. They'll mention the quality of their rooms, their great location, delicious breakfast, they offer value for money. Do you know what? It's the same old, same old. I'm sorry, but I'm being really honest here. You know, it really is a sea of sameness out there. I see it again and again and again. So for you to stand out from the crowd, you need to say something that is unique and different from everybody else. But how do you find your USP? Well, you know, I'll warn you, this isn't a simple exercise. This is going to take some time as well as effort on your part, but I really can't emphasize enough that you do this, because it is a great tool to get you to define what makes you and your establishment special, what makes you different from all the rest. And I can't tell you enough how much easier it is to sell what you offer when you are really clear about exactly what you do for your guests that's superior or different from your competitors. Believe me, this is a real game changer. And this is why when I work one-to-one with clients, it's one of the first things that we work through together. As I said, there's a tremendous amount of choice when it comes to places to stay. But when you know exactly who your target market is, what their real needs and requirements are, and what you offer that exactly meets those needs and requirements, then you can put all of that information across in a way that makes you and your business stand out from the crowd. It makes choosing you from all the other establishments a really easy decision for potential guests. So, how do you work out exactly what you offer? Well, don't panic, because I'm not going to let you do this by yourself. I'm going to help you to go through this. And what I've done, I've put together a free blueprint to help you find your USP. And this is going to really contribute to your business success. Before I move on, I've got a couple of disclaimers I just want to share with you here. The first one is, there is no one way to identify your unique selling proposition. There are many different ways to do this. But what I'm going to share with you today is my proven step-by-step map to help you do this. It's the formula that I created when I was trying to identify my own USP in my days as a B&B owner. And it's the formula that I've used to help lots and lots of clients to identify theirs. And the second disclaimer is, as I've already mentioned, this is going to take some work and commitment to get this done. If you really have the will and passion to build your business and to boost bookings, please put the time aside to work on this. If you want a visual for the blueprint that I'm going to lay out in this episode, then definitely grab this week's freebie. I've put everything inside of a PDF so that you can go to it when you're ready to implement. And you're going to want to make some notes right now, and that's fine. But at least you'll be able to have my blueprint right in front of you, and that will take you through everything step by step. So to grab that, simply go to puttingheadsonbeds.com/005 download. So we're going to work through this step-by-step blueprint and help you to create a powerful USP that's really going to help you to boost bookings. When you're identifying your USP, you need to think about why your ideal guest, should choose to book with you instead of any other establishment that might have vacancies. Why should I choose you? It's not enough to just do what you do. You have to really think about why people should actually give you money. And you need to be able to answer that really clearly. As I shared earlier, with most businesses, the answer boils down to one thing. Book with us because we're pretty much the same as everybody else. With you, I want you to tell everyone what makes you different. A little tip here. As you work through this, just think about what people say about you. What reviews and testimonials you've received. Think about what your guests are actually saying to you when they're staying with you. When you're chatting to them over a cup of tea, or when you're chatting to them over breakfast, or when they check out at the end of their stay. What are they saying to you about your establishment and about their experience? It's time for you to think about who you are, what you stand for, and why people should pay attention and spend money with you as opposed to any of the other choices that they've got. Nowadays, when somebody's looking for somewhere to book, they have got so much choice in front of them. If they're doing a search on Google, they're inundated with results. And your ability to cut through all of that, through all of those messages and all of that traffic, to emerge from that crowd at the bottom and be somewhere near the top is going to be aided by identifying your USP. So let's start diving in. Okay, the first step is that you really need to be clear on who your target market is. You need to know exactly who your ideal guests are, and you need to really know them. In my experience, so many business owners make the mistake of not having a target market. And this makes marketing so difficult and, to be honest with you, completely non-effective most of the time. When you try to attract everyone or just anyone or just someone to stay with you, do you know what? The result more often than not is you attract no one. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of having a clear target market if you want to grow your business significantly. But you said to me, so what is a target market? Well, it's a specific group of people who visit your area who need accommodation just like yours that meets their specific needs and requirements. And you need to take the time to understand exactly who your target market is and then drill it down even further by identifying your ideal guest. And then the next step, once you've done that, is to identify what your ideal guest would be looking for when searching for somewhere to stay in your location. Now, whatever you do here, as you start working through this, please don't write nice rooms, high quality facilities, car parking. This is not what I mean. Instead, I want you to get into your ideal guest's mind for a moment. Think about what it is they're looking for. What challenges do they face when looking for somewhere to stay? What are they really buying when they're booking somewhere? And if you think about it, it's not just about having somewhere to stay. It's more about getting an important outcome fulfilled. People buy outcomes. They buy the important results they want. And at the same time, they're faced with the challenge of making sure that they book somewhere that not only meets their individual needs, but actually exceeds them. They want somewhere that really delivers what it promises, plus a little bit more. So let me see if I can give you some examples here to help you work through this. So let's say you cater for adults and your target market is busy professional couples. They're busy, they work long days, long hours, they don't see each other very often, ships passing in the night. So when they want to book a breakaway, it's not because they just want 2 nights at a B&B or an inn or a short break at a cottage. That's not what they want. What they want is to spend quality time together. The outcome of that break is that they want to return home after their stay, relaxed, refreshed, revitalised, having thoroughly enjoyed unwinding in peaceful surroundings, having spent quality time together, taking things at a slower pace, having lie-ins, not feeling as shattered as they do when they're on that treadmill of the 9-to-5 job. And at the same time, they will want somewhere to stay that as a minimum offers an equivalent level of comfort and standard as their own home. They won't want to stay anywhere that isn't as good as home. And what they'll worry about is actually choosing an establishment that really fails to hit the mark, because they want that breakaway, and what they don't want is it to be an absolute nightmare, to not enjoy it, and to end up going home more tired than when they started, having had arguments all weekend. That's not helping them to spend time together and unwind and relax. Now, if on the other hand, your target market is, let's say, working parents who constantly feel that they never spend enough time with their children, then their desired outcome of a breakaway is that they're going to return home feeling guilt-free, having spent quality, uninterrupted time together as a family, knowing that their children have had a fun-packed holiday, seeing them smile and laugh and spending time without having to check their phone, check in on emails, totally dedicated family time. And again, this group will be worried that the place they pick to stay in won't provide all the facilities they will require as a family, and that they may end up staying somewhere where the owners don't really love and welcome children as much as they said they did. And again, they'll worry that the establishment will under-deliver on what it promises. And then, okay, let's have a look. If your target market is business travellers, then they're going to want to stay somewhere where after a long working day, they can comfortably unwind, having all the facilities that they need to complete or prepare their workload for the next day. And then they probably want to go and just enjoy a relaxing evening meal, either with you or at a nearby restaurant or an inn, before settling down for a really good night's sleep. They want to leave the next morning fully refreshed, focused and revitalised, ready to start a new day. And this group of people would be worried that they might not be able to find somewhere good to eat nearby, that they'll end up having packet sandwiches from a garage. They will be concerned about being disturbed by late night guests coming back, or by early risers or excitable children. These are their concerns when booking somewhere to stay. And whatever your target market, if you're able to get closer to how your potential guest thinks than anyone else, if you can learn more about the guest than anyone else, well, then you are on a home run. The aim of any marketing, is to know and understand the guest so well that your establishment kind of sells itself. The biggest reason so many accommodation providers only just survive in business is because they don't think like a guest. It is really important to understand the fundamentals, because when you understand the fundamental outcomes that your ideal guests are looking for when they're searching for somewhere to stay, then it makes creating your unique selling proposition so easy, and you are going to have a far greater chance of influencing them to pick you and to stay with you instead of staying elsewhere. If you're struggling with this step, because as I said, this isn't going to be easy, you're going to have to put some work in here. Think about what the main problems or frustrations that you hear your guests have had with other B&Bs or hotels or other accommodation establishments. They will always talk to you about an awful place that they booked once, about a problem that they had with a holiday once. Listen to what they're telling you and take that on board. Or you could even take this actually one step further. You could do an online survey. And it would be quite simple to do something in SurveyMonkey and then post that out via social media and ask people what problems or frustrations they have when they're trying to find somewhere to stay. I'll put a link to SurveyMonkey in the notes for you so you can have a look at that. Once you've identified your target market, and you've identified the outcomes that they're really seeking when choosing somewhere to stay in your area, then you can move on to step 3. And step 3 is to identify how you and your establishment can satisfy the outcomes that they're looking for. In other words, what benefits you offer, how you can meet their needs and requirements. Basically, you need to be able to clearly explain what a guest gets from choosing to stay with you that they could not get from somewhere else. What sets you apart from your competitors? And again, remember, think from the guest's perspective. So these benefits should explain why your services are important to them and why they should stay with you. You need to explain how your offering meets their exact needs or desired outcomes. And when you've done that, the 4th step then is to create your promise, because a big part of a successful USP is making a pledge to your guests. And this needs to be implied rather than spelled out in your USP, but you should also be marketing it elsewhere as a standalone promise too. Okay, let me give you a couple of examples of ones that I've worked on with private clients to help you get the creative juices flowing. So your promise could be, we're committed to providing an excellent experience for every guest, every time. It could be a little bit more detailed. Our promise to you is simple but meaningful. When you visit us, whether it be for a night, a short break or a week-long holiday, we promise that you'll be well fed and very well looked after. Or you could say something like, we're committed to doing our utmost to make your stay a relaxing and enjoyable experience, and our aim is to make your visit a lasting memory you'll cherish forever. You need to take some time to think about your promise, and you need to make sure it talks to your ideal guest. That's really important. From my experience, you're already doing this. You already have a promise that you set yourself that you are going to deliver to your guests. So just dig deep and really work out what that is. once you've done steps 1 to 4, the next step, step 5, is to take everything that you've put down, and you can use that PDF, and combine it all into a paragraph. Now, there are going to be some recurring ideas and thoughts, so as you go through those different steps. So what you want to do is start merging statements and just rewriting it all in a way that flows and makes sense. And then when you've done that, you need to cut it down even further. So in step 6, you're going to take that paragraph and condense it even more into just a sentence or two. You want your final USP to be as specific and as simple as possible. So whatever you do, please take your time doing this step. And you might do several different versions over the course of the week. So keep working on it, because eventually you'll come up with your final draft USP. And once you've got that in front of you, I want you to ask yourself one question. Your USP should answer the most fundamental question that every guest needs to know. It should answer their question of, why should I stay with you? Does your draft USP convince people in 30 seconds to book with you because you tell them something great that you offer but your competitors don't? You know, it should communicate the most powerful benefit or advantage that you offer prospective guests over and above your competitors. You have to determine what they're not getting from anywhere else, or what will solve their major fears or frustrations, and you need to offer it to them in that USP. Does your draft USP do that? Because if it doesn't, then I recommend you go back to step 1 and start again. And this time really focus on who your target market is and what their needs and requirements are. And don't forget, you can ask questions. If you're getting stuck on this, go to the Facebook group, go to the Creating Bookings community and ask those questions there, because I'll help you as much as I can on this. If it does answer a fundamental question of why should I stay with you, then you're ready to move on to the last few steps in the blueprint. And step 8 is where I want you to test and measure that USP. Once you've got a working USP, don't just promote it. It's always a good idea to sleep on it first, run it by others, and to be honest with you, the best people to ask are your existing guests. When you've got people staying with you, ask them what their thoughts are about your USP. Measure the impact it has on them. Now, it may take several tries. As I said, got to work hard here. But once you hit the perfect USP, it will be an integral element of your marketing blueprint. And then you're at the final hurdle. Once you've developed your unique selling proposition, once you've defined it, then your job is to communicate it clearly and often. You've got to use it to constantly remind people of what you stand for. Tell them in no uncertain terms on a regular basis why your establishment is different and why they should choose you. Your USP needs to be found in all of your marketing material, from your advert in a tourist guide, through social media, on your website. It should be included on all your stationery. If your USP is good and it works, start shouting it from the rooftops. You can never wear it out, honestly, believe me. Therefore, your final task is to write a list of all your different marketing pillars, all the different places that you market your business, online and offline, and then start adding your USP to each pillar. So, for example, make sure it's included on your Facebook page. Make sure your website details it. Make sure if you're in an online guide, you're detailing it there. And so there you have it, your USP blueprint. Now, I know it's a lot to go through, but remember, I have outlined all of this in a very stylish PDF for you. So all you need to do is go to puttingheadsonbeds.com/005 download, and I'll send you the PDF right away. I created this blueprint because I want you to be able to identify your USP. I want you to work through it and to come out with an amazing USP at the end of it. Now, you might be sort of sat there thinking, yeah, but do I really need a USP? Could you survive without a dynamic USP? Well, yeah, you could. It is possible to succeed. A lot of people have. A lot of people are doing that at the moment. But one thing I will say is, yes, whilst it's possible, it doesn't make it easy. people without unique selling propositions will struggle to actually stand out from the crowd. They will struggle to boost bookings because there is so much demand in a market of, virtually identical businesses that to succeed, you have to work hard to differentiate yourself. Identifying your USP will help you to gain serious momentum. Is it the be all and end all? Will it bring unlimited guests to your door? Well, no, let's not get that crazy, because you still need to market your business effectively, and you still need to provide your guests with an amazing guest experience. But what your unique selling proposition will do is help to set you up for success from the get-go. So you're not crossing your fingers, hoping that somebody will simply know how great your place is. You've got to tell them how good you are, because otherwise, how will they ever know? So thank you for being here with me today. I've gone through this quite quickly. There is quite a bit of work involved in this. I've put together the guide, so grab that. But I'm here to help. Please don't forget that. Head into the group and ask your questions, because this isn't an easy one to work through. This is something that you're going to have to really sort of dig deep to figure it all out. But I'm here to help. What I want you to do over the next 2 weeks is identify that unique selling proposition and do everything you can to make sure your business stands out from the crowd. In my next podcast, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to go through a really, really simple and very time-proven step-by-step process that I've used with lots and lots of business owners to help create a guarantee that, again, will ensure your business stands out from the crowd and that will help you to increase bookings even more. So I can't wait to speak to you again in 2 weeks' time. And in the meantime, have a great couple of weeks. I hope you're busy, plenty of heads on your beds. But until then, bye for now.
And that's a wrap for this week's show. Thanks for listening to the Putting Heads on Beds podcast. Make sure you visit us at creatingbookings.com.